Talk briefly about foam rolling. So whether you got a cool, sexy green roller like this with ridges, or you've just got one of those classic black kind of styrofoam rollers that you see in most gyms, I want to talk about, because there's really two ways that you can foam roll, and one is useful and one is not. And I know that's kind of bold because a lot of people are still doing this, but what you'll see is a lot of people before workouts, I still see this at a lot of local gyms, people just kind of rock back and forth, and they'll scoot up and they rock back and forth. And the reality is that the research on this is pretty weak. I posted a big review on research like that. It usually takes, you got to roll each tissue for at least a couple of minutes. You've got to do it regularly. The benefits don't last very long. And quite frankly, it's a really passive way to go about addressing a tissue. I just sat there and I squished my calf while my leg did nothing. So nothing about my brain was able to integrate to this tissue, saying like, hey, whatever clunky pain you're feeling, it's okay to let that go. It's okay to move freely the way that you were built to move. So with that, when we're going like this and we're just kind of squishing for 30 to 60 seconds tops before we go work out, first of all, there's some evidence that that decreases power output and decreases performance. And second of all, like, why would you waste your time doing that? The other way, as I've been learning with Dr. Kelly Starrett through the Ready State, is to really put some action into it, to put some mobility into it. And this makes sense from the functional neurology paradigm that I come from. You have to get the brain involved, because the brain is so tightly involved in posture and movement and the perception and experience of pain. Pain is an experience. There is no purely painful stimulus, right? Pain is a balance between nociception, or pain fibers activating, and anti-nociception, which is the ability to inhibit those pain fibers. And that's context dependent. If you have anxiety, you're more likely to experience chronic pain because you're in this anxious, vigilant state more often than someone who doesn't have anxiety. If you're an athlete or you're a soldier on the battlefield, those injuries don't bother you as much as they would a civilian like myself or someone in the parking lot, right? So pain is this individual experience, and until you get brain involved in that, you're not going to be able to effectively decrease pain. You're not going to be effectively increasing movement capacity, and not effectively increasing performance. So my two favorite ways that I've learned is, three favorite actually, is scrubbing. So you're actively kind of rolling side to side and scrubbing. And this works similarly to what I do in office with fascial abrasion technique, or stechofascial manipulation, or as we'll see in a second, ART, or active release technique, or PNF, or ABC, QRS, like whatever acronym you want to do. Getting active in your self-myofascial release more closely mimics a true effective manual therapy that you're going to get in the office. And when you're bringing your movement to it and your brain into it, that gives you more control and better capacity over your movement mechanics and your pain. So while we're quarantined this Corona season, I think it's a really good idea for you to grab a foam roller, for you to grab a tennis ball and practice. The first technique is scrubbing. So you can do this on any tissue. You can lay this on your kitchen counter and you can scrub your triceps. You can lay on your side like this and scrub your armpit, which doesn't feel so good. You can scrub your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your IT bands, your groin, anything you can scrub. And that's kind of a way to warm up the tissues. And it's a way to really increase blood flow to the area. And it's a way for you to kind of scan and survey the land and say, all right, where is it clunky? Like for me, this is really clunky. This is like gunk, gunk, gunk. So what we can do is we can bring in that PNF component, the NMES, or again, there's a whole bunch of acronyms for the same thing, which is basically an end range isometric contraction. And so what we're going to do here is, I have pain right here, so I can stack it and I can bring my breath into this. So this is my end range before pain right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 4-second breath in, I'm going to contract my calf for 4 seconds with a breath hold, and I'm going to exhale for 8 and bring in sort of this parasympathetic component. And I'll explain what happens in a second. So I got some pain right here that's kind of clunky. I'm going to go contract, so I'm pushing myself, kind of pretending to push the roller out of my calf. and then I exhale for 8. And what we're doing is we're inhaling and we're holding our breath and we're contracting and we're telling the brain, hey, I've got control of this tissue. I'm contracting it even in this painful state. I've got control. Let go. And so we breathe out. It's a very parasympathetic thing, exhalation. And we're bringing control. So it still feels clunky, but it's way less painful. So I can go through 2-3 cycles of that before I move on and I scrub to other tissues, right? So scrubbing and that contract, relax is a very active way to bring your brain into your mobilization. The next thing is obviously movement, right? So my ankle can invert, evert, dorsiflex, and plantar flex. Not a lot of motion there. I got bricks for ankles after playing hockey. But basically I can scrub, and then as I scrub I can try different positions of plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. And again, if I find a spot that's pretty ugly, contract, relax, exhale. So you can scrub all the way up. And that, I don't know if you heard, I just got a free adjustment of my fibular head here. That is a way better way to bring movement, to bring neuromuscular control, to bring neuromuscular re-education into your self-mobilization while you're at home, quarantining yourself because we're trying to flatten the curve with coronavirus. But you'll see, like, that feels good. Like, I know I've got blood flow to that area, and it was way more useful, way less aggravating than simply trying to squash myself non-specifically for 30 seconds before I go crush a workout. So that is my take on foam rolling. That is my take on how you should change it up. So remember to scrub, survey the area. You want this skin, this looks gross, but you want this skin all the way down to your ankle. You want the skin to be able to be lifted up separately. That superficial fascia should be able to glide, because if we see superficial restrictions, we know there's a problem deeper as well. So you scrub and you kind of survey the area and you go, oop, that's kind of crunchy, that's kind of stuck, that's kind of painful. I bet there's something going on deeper. So let's contract and relax. Let's let my brain, let my body know that it's okay to relax that tissue, that it's okay to not have pain there, that we have control, right? Then what we do, so we scrub, we survey the land, we contract, relax, and then we add some motion. We know that down here is soleus and some of the plantar flexors and posterior tibialis and all that jazz that's kind of controlling the foot and the ankle and helping you walk and run. And so let's bring some motion into that under pressure. And again, if we find any gunky stuff, let's contract, relax, and breathe so that we regain control of our body. And you can do this anywhere. You can do this in your feet. You can do this in your legs, your hamstrings, your quads, your groin, your IT band, your abs. You can do it on your serratus anterior. You can do it on your lats. You can do it on your thorax. You can do it on your neck, your jaw. I'm not kidding when I say you can do this anywhere if you have the right tool. Between this and a lacrosse ball, you can feel really, really good. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes.